climate czars. Bum, bum, bum. Lightning, thunder, climate czars. Dun, dun, dun. The name of this book is the Project 2025. It is a plan that Republicans have come up with for the next Republican president. They hope it's Trump. If anybody else wins as a Republican, they will give him this book, and it will cause a lot of death. He writes, Shincinto, it will cause a lot of death and dismemberment. The plan is for a Republican person to get this info and then read it and follow the instructions. This is a list of instructions for a Republican president, and we're 14 chapters in, I want to say 13 chapters, something like that. Most of it is terrible and monstrous, and I hate it. But it's important to know what they're doing so that we can, not do that and or prevent them from accomplishing their awful, awful, awful goals. So we continue with the Republican Book Club on Environmental Protection Agency. They do hate this one. The EPA by Mandy M. Gunasakara. There we go. Mandy M. Gunasakara. And let's learn what fictional things the Republicans think about the EPA. Mission statement: creating a better environment tomorrow with clean air, safe water, healthy soil, and thriving communities. The conservative U.S. Environmental Protection Agency will take a more supportive role towards local and state efforts, building them up so that they may lead a meaningful fashion. This will include the sharing of federal resources and agency expertise. You think so? Creating environmental standards from the ground up is consistent with the concept of cooperative federalism embedded within many of the agency's authorizing statutes, and will create earnest relationships among local officials and regulated stakeholders. This in turn will promote a culture of compliance. This is all very, very, very strong corporate speak that means nothing. This is Corpo, filthy Corpo speak that is nothing so far. Give me something. A conservative. There we go. A conservative EPA will track success by measured progress as opposed to the current perpetual process, and will convey this progress to the public in clear, concise terms. You didn't say anything. Okay. Filthy Corpo speak. True transparency will be a defining characteristic of a conservative EPA. This will be reflected in all agency work, including the establishment of open source science, to build not only transparency and awareness among the public, but also trust. More worthless Corpo speak. Damn it. Corpo speak. Okay, we're going to skip all that. It didn't say anything. Not surprisingly, the EPA under the Biden administration has returned to the same top-down coercive approach that defined the Obama administration. Yes, top-down. The person at the top of the government tells the people beneath them how to do the government. I don't know why they're upset about this. There has been a reinstitution of unachievable standards designed to aid in the transition. They really hate that word. Motherfucker, if it's in people, they hate it. If it's in the environment, they hate it. They hate the word transition. Okay. Away from politically disfavored industries and technologies, and towards the Biden administration preferred alternatives. Yes, you fucking cretins. Politically disfavored industries. That means coal and oil. And they're very upset that the EPA would suggest not using coal and oil anymore. And when this happens, when the EPA says, maybe we shouldn't burn fucking trees and rocks to power the future. Maybe we should do other things. Republicans call it politically disfavored industries and technologies, and towards a Biden administration preferred alternatives. They call it preferred alternatives. Hey, can we stop burning trees and rocks to power the flying cars? They get upset about it because they're paid by the people who dig the trees and rocks out of the ground. This approach is most obvious when the Biden administration's assault on the energy sector, as the administration uses its regulatory might to make coal, oil, and natural gas operations very expensive and increasingly inaccessible, while forcing the economy to build out and rely on unreliable renewables. Listen, Mandy. Can I call you Mandy? I hope so. It's your name. Mandy. Listen, Mandy. Mandy, listen. We're not going to power the flying cars by burning wood. We're not. The future will not be built on burning rocks and burning dinosaurs. You can't. It doesn't work. You need a better plan. You need a futuristic option. Burning coal is a 15th century technology. Please move forward. Please. Oil is an 18th century technology. It's not going to power the future. It will power the present for a little while longer if we can, and burning all of it might ruin the entire fucking atmosphere, and then we won't be able to live here anymore. You know? This is the worry. This is what I'm saying. This is what the left is trying to explain to you, Mandy. That if you burn all the oil, one, you won't have any, and two, the environment might be so bad that we all die. What kind of future can you have then? But she's paid by the people who dig the oil and dig the coal out of the ground, so she doesn't give a damn about any fact that I have to bring to her. Any idea, any worry that I have is ignored because she's paid to ignore it. Unreliable renewables. This approach has also been applied to pesticides and chemicals as the Biden administration pushes for the greening of agriculture and manufacturing, among other industrial activities. Mandy, if those chemicals are dangerous and causing cancer and killing people, let's not use them. But you don't care. You don't care. If the EPA says don't use this damn chemical on your corn, then by God, you shouldn't use that chemical on your corn. I don't know why the left is the crazy environmentalists when they're literally just being smarter about it. As a consequence of this approach, we see the return of costly job-killing regulations. More regulations. They hate regulations. They really do. That serve to depress the economy and grow the bureaucracy, but do little to address, much less resolve, complex environmental problems. In some instances, these actions even work to undermine environmental efforts, as they push industries overseas to countries whose enforcement of pollution control requirements is seriously deficient, if indeed they have any meaningful requirements at all. That's a capitalism problem, Mandy. If Monsanto is doing something that is harming America, harming Americans, and the EPA tells them to stop, and instead of stopping, they just move to another fucking country, that's a capitalism problem, not a government problem. Maybe we should do a bit of diplomacy to prevent Monsanto from moving to that other country and doing what they want anyway and ruining the environment over there. But Republicans don't do diplomacy. They do bombing. All right. If indeed they have any meaningful requirements at all, okay. Meanwhile, agency costs and staffing have increased significantly. The EPA's fiscal year 23 included 28% increase of funds, the highest funding ever in EPA history. Well, I want to die gasping for air. Fuck me, right? Yeah. You don't want to die that way. Get wrecked, idiot. And don't you know that you're not gasping for air, Shinseto, is bad for business? It helps Exxon's bottom line if you are dying gasping for air. So that's what we will do. Compared to the Obama administration, there's one key difference in the Biden administration's approach. In a concerted effort to diminish congressional oversight, the position of EPA administrator has been overshadowed by the creation of multiple climate czars. Bum, bum, bum! Lightning, thunder, climate czars. At the Biden White House. In effect, current EPA Administrator Michael Regan, who has a reputation as a well-meaning, generally capable former state official, has been left out of the political loop, serving mostly as a pleasant distraction from the EPA's expansive, costly, and economy-destroying agenda. Maybe because they can't get a damn thing done with fucking Republicans standing in the way. It wouldn't surprise me if that's why they have to do the climate czars. Really. Hey, if we take this thing to Congress, Congress is filled with dipshits who do not comprehend science, who do not comprehend reality, who do not comprehend the time dimension, and think that the climate can't change because the Bible didn't tell us it would. Maybe you fucking go around those people. Maybe you create a bunch of climate czars who can just get things done without going through the stupids in Congress. A co-opted mission. The EPA has been a breeding ground for expansion of federal government influence and control across the economy. Embedded activists have sought to evade legal restraints in a pursuit of global climate-themed agenda, aiming to achieve that agenda by implementing costly policies that otherwise have failed to gain the requisite political traction in Congress. Many EPA actions in liberal administrations have simply ignored the will of Congress, aligning instead with the goals and wants of politically connective activists. Yes, Mandy. Yes. If Congress, you know who's in Congress? Matt Gaetz and Maytack. We shouldn't listen to Congress anymore. If Republicans hire Marjorie Taylor Greene to be a member of the Congress, I don't want to listen to Congress anymore. I don't. She's an idiot. She doesn't know what is real. She doesn't know where the EPA ought to be putting its funding. She doesn't comprehend the idea of global climate change. She doesn't have any idea what those are. She's a buffoon. She is an idiot. And if you have to go around Congress because Congress is filled with idiots, that's what they'll do. That's what ought to happen. I'm not happy about it. I don't want them to go around Congress. But guess what? Republicans have filled it with dipshits. Very ranting today. Very ranty today. Historical roles and purposes. For many decades, rapid industrial activity with an unorganized approach to environmental standards significantly degraded the country's environment. Particle pollution from the form of thick fog, like haze that has at times laced with harmful metals, was a frequent occurrence across the country. More than 40% of the communities failed to meet basic water quality standards, and in 1969, the Cuyahoga River caught fire after sparks from a passing train ignited debris in the water, which was filled with heavy industrial waste. Right, we should do something about that. And they created the EPA. So in the future, this is what the Republicans would like to do with the EPA. Back to basics, the EPA structure and mission should be greatly circumscribed to reflect the principles of cooperation, federalism, and limited government. This will require significant restructuring and streamlining of the agency to reflect the following. State leadership, there we go. Take that big federal thing that's telling Republicans what to do and break it into 50 little departments. EPA should build earnest relationships with state and local officials to assume a more supportive role by sharing resources and expertise, recognizing the primary role in making choices about the environment belongs to the people who live in it. Yeah, and more Republican control. If you break things down at the state level, Republicans have more control of it. Accountable progress. Regulatory efforts should focus on addressing tangible environmental problems with practical, cost-beneficial, affordable solutions to clean up the air, water, and soil, and the results should be measured and tracked, simple metrics that are available to the public. They do that now. Streamline the process. Duplicative or wasteful, superfluous programs, blah, blah, blah. Healthy thriving communities, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is more filthy corpo speak. This isn't anything. And then we get down to the thing. Okay, here's an executive order. That's a pretty big thing. Day 1 executive order. To initiate the review of the reorganization, a Day 1 executive order should be drafted for the incoming president with explicit language requiring reconsideration of the agency's structure with reference to fulfilling its mission to create a better environment tomorrow with clean air, safe water, healthy soil, and thriving communities. The order should set up a pause and review teams to assess the following: major rules and guidelines, pending petitions, grants, stop all grants to advocacy groups, and review which potential federal investments will lead to tangible environmental improvements. They're not just giving them out for fun, lady. Mandy, the EPA is giving out grants now, and not just for fun. They have already determined which ones will lead to environmental improvements. Employee review. Determine the opportunity to downsize by terminating the newest hires and low-value programs and identify relocation opportunities for senior executives. Yeah, cut the staff way down so that they can, like Chinzetto said, ignore everything for profit. So this goes into each specific one of these groups and what they ought to do with it. So this is the boring, crunchy bits that they want a specific EPA head to go down, the Office of General Counsel, the OGC. This is the deep state right here. This is it. So anybody who's in the Office of General Counsel right now, they're part of the EPA's policy-making officials, they're deep state. And the Republicans hate the deep state because it doesn't agree with them. They want a Republican deep state that does agree with them. And this is the plan. This is this entire book, 920 pages of here's the words of the deep state. Here's the deep state. Here it is. We've modeled out, we've found every single bit of the deep state. And it's too based on reality and leftism and things that are real. We don't like that. So we need it to be filled with Republican fantasies. So they will replace all of those intelligent people who are basing their stuff on facts with people who are basing their entire worldview on Republican fantasy. These are the specific ones. I think there's a conclusion. Okay, let's read the conclusion. A more conservative EPA that aligns with the policies outlined in this chapter will lead to a better environmental future without unintended consequences. fuck does that make any sense? It will prevent unnecessary expenditures by the regulated community, allowing for investment in economic development and job creation, which are keys to thriving communities. Cutting EPA's size and scope will deliver savings to the American taxpayer. Improved transparency will serve as an important check to ensure that the agency's mission is not distorted or co-opted for political gain. Importantly, a conservative EPA will deliver tangible environmental improvements to the American people in the form of cleaner air, cleaner water, and healthy soils. Except that it won't. Filthy Corpo speak, that means nothing. They're going to slash the jobs, they're going to cut the power, they're going to remove the EPA's power authority funding personnel, and then apparently that makes cleaner air and water. I don't believe you, Mandy. I do not think you are a serious person. I think you are filled to the brim with Republican Kool-Aid. Well, that was a rant, wasn't it? What's next week? What's next time on the Republican Book Club? Let's look to the future. What is after EPA? It is the Department of Health and Human Services. Well, okay. So next time we'll do the Department of Health and Human Services. They probably want to abandon it and destroy it and get rid of it, because that is how Republicans operate. Get rid of the government, and that'll make the government better. Not entirely sure how that works, especially with the environment. The environment needs help. You know, we need to do a better job there. The country still has lead in their water. We should have the EPA working on that. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's expensive to dig those pipes up and put in new pipes that aren't going to fill your children with lead. But that's exactly what a government should be doing. That is what a government ought to be doing. That's one of the things that they are for. They're not, the government isn't, I don't want the government spending their time doing congressional hearings about social media or something like that. I don't want Mark Zuckerberg to go to Congress and have to explain to a bunch of geriatric motherfuckers why they are hated online. That's a waste of their time. What they could be doing, planning, paying for, and fixing the pipes that are filled with lead. That's a good thing for the government to do. Yeah, I recognize that the government always will chase after the crimes of their president's children. I don't want them to waste time on that, but I know that they will, because it is a very feelings-based thing. Chasing around Hunter Biden's crimes will always be a political situation. But maybe, if they were smart, they could do something good, like replacing all the pipes with unleaded pipes. Unleaded pipes. I know. What? Man, if I ever run for office, that'll be my bumper sticker. Unleaded pipes. 2 words. That's a bumper sticker, baby. Unleaded pipes. That's my. You wanna know my platform? Unleaded pipes. That chatter that was here earlier asking for my political stances, unleaded pipes, and the government ought to pay for it. And we can tax the rich to get it. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Oh, hi. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button, press the subscribe button. If you want to tell me how right I am, feel free to leave a comment. If you want to tell me how wrong I am, leave a comment too. That's good. This is just kind of a hobby for me, so I appreciate you coming by, giving it a watch, and pressing the YouTube buttons. Thanks.